Okay, taking a look at my everyday carry items. This is like a pocket dump for me. If you wait till the end of the video, I will show you how I situate everything on my person and where everything goes. This is a lot of gear. I like to carry a lot of stuff, but I like to make sure that it is either easy to carry or something that I need a lot. So let's start with my wedding band. This one is my original wedding band, and I've lost enough weight that it fits on again. I haven't been able to wear this in probably 2 or 3, 4 years, but I've lost about 110 pounds so far, and I'm able to wear the wedding band that I originally had again. And then for a watch, I've got a Timex Expedition, and I like how thin it is. It's easy to wear, and it doesn't really catch on a lot of stuff. Now, I won't wear it sometimes because I like to wear gloves a lot. So I like to protect my hands, and when I'm wearing the watch, it just bulks up this portion of the glove. So this is something that I will do without sometimes if I want to wear gloves for the thing that I'm doing that day. So this is one of the things that I will rotate out, but it is nice to not have to get your phone out to check the time. For my wallet, I've got a Maxpedition Spartan wallet. Let's see, it's actually showing a little wear and it's a little dirty. I keep a kind of like a gag thing. I do a lot of arms list transactions, and guys will ask me, "All right, can I see your ID?" And I'll hand them this. And if they've seen the movie, they get a kick out of it. And if they haven't seen the movie, then they kind of scowl at me a little bit and say, "All right, let me see your real ID." But so I carry a Maxpedition Spartan wallet. I also carry a Maxpedition Tactical Field Deck, and this is something that it's not terribly convenient to carry, but I use it a lot. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and when we go places, doctor's offices, or we're waiting for food at a restaurant, Goldfish, War, it's something that the kids always ask me, "Hey, can we play a card game?" And so this is always something that I've got with me just to kind of pass time on slow wait times. It's only something that I've used once for adults. I had a guy that we were hanging out at a buddy's place, and he said, "Gosh, if we had a set of cards, I could show you that something or other with poker." And I said, "I have a deck of cards." He said, "You're kidding me." And I pulled out this Tactical Field Deck. So it's something I carry. It's something I use a lot for my kids. You can see that I have had to tape the outside of this. I mean, like, my little folding ear tabs have kind of fallen apart, and the whole box is coming apart. I probably need to put another layer of tape on it. The box is not very EDC worthy. The cards are a plastic card, and they're extremely durable. They've gotten a little dirty and worn from some use, but I tell you what, they're really nice to have. And I have a few backup decks when this one finally does see its last day of use. Speaking of worn out items, this one here is almost to the point where I'm going to have to just replace it outright. But it's nice to have a little place to write down phone numbers and notes to yourself, and I think I've got like orders on this, or the wife wants a number 1, and the kid wants this, and that kid wants this and this, and I need milk, and oh, I forgot that. And I'll just list this whole thing before I go to the counter and place our orders at Wendy's on Sunday afternoon. But so this is something that I carry in my left back pocket, and it has gotten worn again. I've put some packing tape on it to try and prolong its life. This is what it looks like new, and this is the one I keep in my Bible, and I write down scriptures that I'll read and will be important, and I'll want to remember the reference, so I'll write those down, and it stays a little nicer in my Bible than the one I carry every day has stayed in my back pocket. This has probably seen 9 months of use, so it's probably time to rotate it out. I'm running out of pages that don't have stuff all over it, but so I like to carry a little thin, easy to carry notebook, and this is very easy to carry. Well, good, it's a notepad without a pen. This is my Microtech Siphon 2. It uses a Fisher Space Pen cartridge, so write it upside down, whatever I need to do, and it will not stop writing. It's a nice, small, compact, nice writing utensil. So it's kind of a pricey thing, but for me, I like the pride of ownership of, you know, it's a nice pen, and I like the it's not a traditional, like commonly seen pen. So when I pull this out to take a note, people think that it's very interesting, and a lot of people seem to like it. But one thing that I have noticed about Microtech, it doesn't wear very well. I haven't had this but maybe a month and a half, and you can see that the edge of this finish is already starting to wear. So it's not a showpiece, so it's not a super big deal, but I like to keep my stuff in as nice a condition as I can, and that's just not that possible with a metallic makeup and a paint or an anodization. It wears through, so I have to be kind of at peace with how that wears, because the finish doesn't last very long. Moving on to flashlight, I carry a mini mag, one of those little LED lights, and I mean, it's got a really fair amount of light to it. It uses a single AAA battery. I've got some reflective stickers on it. If you should drop this before you get it activated, obviously if you drop it in the dark and it's activated, you're going to see it pretty easily. But if you drop it and you didn't have it on and it's black, it's dark, it's going to be hard to see. But this is very reflective. It's easy to see the reflective sticker on it. I carry a backup, so I've got 2 flashlights, and they're very small, easy to carry. I've made myself a little carrying pouch so that they're not like randomly kind of like falling around in my pocket. This keeps them nice and uniform in my pocket. It's just a little piece of fabric that's kind of like a regular fabric on the outside, and it's got like a plastic lining on the inside. Just ran a few stitches up it and keeps my pocket nicely. One thing I really appreciate about these lights, in addition to them being so small, is because they're small and lightweight, they will actually fit onto my glasses. So if I need to free up both of my hands and still see a light and don't want a flashlight hanging out of my mouth, if I need something a little more long term, these things will attach by way of rubber band. And this is something I always keep with me, a little tiny sandwich bag or a snack bag. I got safety pins and rubber bands, and you know, I haven't really needed to use these much, but when I have, it's been nice to, they're with me, and it's not hard to carry. I mean, this tucks into my cargo pocket, and it's very easy to carry, and it's very useful, especially for doing little side projects like this where I want to attach my flashlights to my glasses, which I've done on a couple occasions. I work at a cabinet shop and the power goes out, and we're trying to stick around as long as we can before the power kicks back on, and I have used these to do some hand sanding and keep on trucking with working. So nice little bag of rubber bands and safety pins, and then my mini mag flashlights. For my pocket knife, I carry a Buck 110 folder, and this thing is a beast, a tank of a knife. I mean, it's very heavy, very well made. It's not like very fast into deployment where you can just flip your thumb and out it deploys. It's a little more two-handed necessary. But I like this knife like I said, I work in woodworking, so I like a heavy knife that I can kind of beat up on, clean up corners of face frames and whatnot. So I like a heavier knife. I did carry the Benchmade 940 1501, and that was a very lightweight, easy to carry knife, but I felt like it was such a lightweight knife that it wasn't tough. I felt like if I beat on it too hard, it would break. I've never broken a 940, but it feels more fragile when I'm used to carrying something as beastly as a Buck 110. Now, carrying a Buck 110, there's no pocket clip, and you know, it's a heavy thing to keep in your pocket, but I've got a little sheath here. This is a Dale Pack Station Makers from Yakima, Washington, and this thing tucks in. It's like a cross draw, and I keep this kind of on the back side of my hip, and because it kind of like spans this much of my belt, it's very comfortable to carry. I mean, there's not a lot to catch on. It follows the curve of my belt there, and it's very pleasant to carry in a holster like this. I carried a 110 for a while, and I just felt like the brass on it would get so dirty, and so I recently picked up this Buck 110 that's got an orange G10 scale and this nickel colored end pieces here, and I'm hoping that they do not get as dirty as that brass did. But I really like a nice heavy knife. In the spirit of heavy things, here is my Leatherman Surge, and this I use constantly. I think that the thing that I use the most is the little bit driver here, and the pliers obviously, but I keep a set of bits with me, and I cannot tell you how much I use the extension, the bits, and this. I mean, this is probably the thing that I use the most in my everyday carry. Now, this makes it easier to carry all this stuff here. This kind of just tucks away like that, and then it tucks down like that, and that keeps everything nice and uniform in my pocket. Again, it's that same material with the rubber backing, and it just sits in the pocket like that. So carrying something this heavy, well, it would not be pleasant to carry in the pocket. I mean, it's a very heavy, substantial multi-tool, but same company, that Dale Pack Station Makers from Yakima, Washington. This is a sheath for my Leatherman Surge. This has seen about a year's worth of use, and you can see that it's a little more broke in, a little dirty from carrying, and that's the difference between this is practically brand new and this one's really broken and worn. And this is very comfortable. I really like the idea that I can span the weight of this multi-tool across this much of my belt, and I kind of carry it like this, where it's right on the back of my hip, right on the edge of my hip, and they both ride like this. So when I go to pull my knife out, I mean, I just reach behind myself and it stays in place very well. But I really like these knife sheaths that these guys make. They're available on eBay, about 40, 45 bucks each, but well worth it. It makes carrying these heavy tools very pleasant. For my belt, I just have a simple leather belt. I've had this for a while now. This is the Old Navy belt that I've had for a long time. I've lost enough weight where I'm cutting new holes into it. I'm probably just going to have to replace the belt, but it's a nice heavy broken belt, and you know, it works just fine. I might go with something a little more tactical next go around, but this has been a very comfortable, well-made belt that I've used for years. One last thing that I keep on my belt, I've got a Zippo lighter. I do not smoke, and I really don't have much call for keeping a lighter. I don't use it much, but it's so easy to carry on the belt that I just kind of keep it around. The one thing that I do find as a drawback about a Zippo is the fact that if I don't use this at all, and I just leave it upright in this carrying pouch for a week or two, it will eventually, just like all of my lighter fluid, will evaporate or whatever, and go to use it and it'll need more lighter fluid. It looks like it's almost low right now, but I feel like I'm constantly just pouring more and more lighter fluid in this thing and I'm not using it. So I've thought about looking into, is there something I can buy to replace this component of it here so that it's more like a butane filled, or I've seen some like flashlights that you can put in these things. I like that it carries so nicely. It carries on the belt. It actually had this little like fasten down loop that snapped into this button, and it was a very narrow belt loop. I hated that. I felt like every time I walked by anything, with as much as this sticks out, I'd catch it on something, the snap would come off, and it'd be like sitting here freely on my belt like that. So what I did was I completely cut this back stitching off. I cut that off square and removed that entire little belt loop, and then I stitched just this section here. I did not stitch this, and you can see how it just fits on my belt like that, and it makes carrying a lighter very convenient. So, like I said, it's not something that I use a lot, and it is something that I have to keep my eye on, make sure it's filled, but it is easy to carry, and you know, nice to have around. This is something that I will carry once in a while. I find them terribly useful to have on me, and it's not very taxing to carry it. It's very easy to fit in your pocket and forget about it, but I do find that when it's riding in my pocket, it will tend to get caught on things and either fall down in my pocket, creating more clutter, or it'll just come out of my pocket. I won't notice it. It's not an expensive thing to replace, but it is one of the things where if I'm like, I don't feel like carrying it, this is one of the first things that I will knock out of the carry for the day. Another thing that I don't use much, but it's easy to carry, I keep a handkerchief. This is something that I have not had much call at all to use. It's probably one of the things that I just carry just to add another thing to my everyday carry, but emergency, you need to blow your nose. Like my grandpa would always have a handkerchief, and he'd blow his nose and then he'd put it in his pocket, and I would think that's just the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of, keeping mucus and snot in your pocket. But that's what he would do, and it's not what I keep my handkerchief for. Mostly what I would keep this for is if a lady friend crying, wife crying, sister crying, mother crying, and you gentlemanly have something to offer them, like that reference in the movie The Intern, where Robert De Niro's like, it's a crime that our generation doesn't carry a handkerchief. It's so chivalrous. Never had anybody crying next to me that I've been able to offer this to. The only thing that I've ever used one of these handkerchiefs for, my kid got a bloody nose and we had nothing else, so I gave him this, and it actually cleaned up all right. This is a different one, but the other one cleaned up all right. But it's just something very easy to toss in your cargo pocket. It doesn't take a lot to carry this. I also carry a Victorinox Swiss card. I like how slim and, I mean, like, lightweight it is. Got a pair of scissors. I have a pair of scissors on my Leatherman Surge, but just another set of scissors. Nail file. I've got a nail file on my Surge, but there's another nail file. It comes with a pair of tweezers. This is really the only set of tweezers that I carry on me, and these see quite a bit of use. Comes with a toothpick, but I've never been in an emergency toothpick situation that I needed to have a toothpick. It does come with a backup pen, and I guess that's kind of nice if you lent your other pen out and you need this just to write something down. So that's nice to have a backup pen. It comes with a little knife, and sometimes it's just more socially accepted to pull something like this out as opposed to pull something like this out. Totally different reactions when you pull this out to cut a box or this out to cut a box. Now, I like having this because it's appropriate for some of the tasks that I use it for, but sometimes this will get it done and I will get far fewer raised eyebrows from using this. And then there's one last thing on this Victorinox card. I always forget about it, but it's nice to have. If you ever get a sliver, and working at the cabinet shop, I get splinters all the time. Having a needle is very nice. in addition to the tweezers. So some of the stuff on the Victorinox card is like redundant and stuff I probably wouldn't use, but there are a few things on this card that are very handy to have, and I have a real appreciation for them. And it's a very easy thing to carry. I also carry a Leatherman bruiser. This is nice for prying, and you know, just carries around my neck. It's easy to get to. I don't have to dig into my pockets and get to stuff. This is just right there, and it's very pleasant for cutting boxes open really quickly or prying on something if your fingernail isn't gonna get it open. And it's just very easy to carry and very convenient to have. So my keys, I've got a little stretch of chain here, and I'll hook this on one of my belt loops, and then it'll be easy to pull my keys out. I find that keys with a long loop on it, especially something long and heavy like this, those are harder to lose than if they were just a set of keys by themselves. And I'll also toss it in my winter coat with this part of it hanging out, easy to get to wearing gloves. Wearing glasses, I keep a handful of little Zeus lens cleaning wipes. It's just an alcohol wipe for cleaning surfaces like your phone or your glasses, and sometimes I just use to clean up like my pocket knife blade or just whatever I used and got dirty. I have a little coin, and it's got the Liberty Bell. It's a little commemorative coin, and having kids, sometimes they're like, well, I want to go first. No, I want to go first, and well, we'll flip a coin for it. And so again, easy to carry, and with me having kids, something I get a lot of use out of, making decisions on the flip of a coin. Another small little item that I'll carry is a little vial of peppermint oil, and I find this very handy if somebody's got a headache, somebody's got an upset stomach, if you're sleepy and you're driving. This stuff just does so much. It'll settle your stomach, it'll help calm down a headache, and it'll help wake you up a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily count on this to wake you up, but it will help you just perk up your senses and clear up your sinuses. It's not something that you want to use if you don't have any access or if you're not near any milk. If you get this on your finger, putting it on your nose or whatever to clear up a headache, and then you get it in your eye, oh, you'll regret it. So I usually will have this on me, but I'll be very careful not to get it in my eyes. And it's very nice to have access to milk because that will neutralize it. But I use this a lot for people with headaches and for an upset stomach. Now, as much as I'd like to carry something like a Microtech Combat Troodon as a tactical blade or just a general purpose knife, I live in kind of a tri-state area, and one of the states I live close to, very close to, does not even allow you to possess this. You can't even own this in that state. And because I'm so close to it, I just don't carry it because I don't know if I'm ever going to need to go into that state. So, to kind of help carry some of that cool factor, I have a Microtech tactical beard comb, and you know, I don't have a beard, I don't have a lot of hair to comb, but it's got that fun fidgeting kind of cool factor. And as I said before, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and sometimes their hair does need combed. So this is kind of a fun thing to keep in the EDC, something to play with and be completely legal as it's just a comb. Alright, so coming to gloves. I really like the Mechanics glove. It's a medium size 9. It fits perfectly. There is no extra space in the fingertips. I like that it kind of wraps around and comes around the underside as opposed to coming over the overside. And these fit really well. Problem is, you can't just order any pair of Mechanics medium size 9. These are a set of Mechanics medium size 9, and you can see there is a bunch of extra space in those fingertips. This is a utility glove. This is a utility glove, And you can see here, I've worn through this one pretty well, and there is no space at the end of the fingertip. It just fits perfectly. Now, the funny story with this one here, I was shooting my Sega and I was not thinking at all and grabbed it by the barrel to set it down, and without this glove I would have blistered my hand up something pretty painful. So gloves, especially on a shooting range, can protect your hands even from some stupidities. Another set of medium-sized 9s, and I love the color of these, especially for the shooting range, but that fits alright, that one, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of extra in this tip, and there's a bunch of extra in this tip. So apparently you just can't say, okay, well, I'm a Mechanics medium-sized 9. You have to try on each pair, because even in the same name brand, going from different styles, size means nothing. But I am able to find a very nice fitting glove that fits well, and I like to protect my hands. Alright, so here comes the pocket dump part of it. You can see what I was talking about with the watch kind of bulking up your glove. It will kind of strap and latch, but you can't really see the watch, and it's not comfortable, so I typically don't wear my gloves with my watch. So you got your gloves, watch, Leatherman Brewster. In this pocket I've got my Sharpie, my Microtech pen, phone, pair of flashlights. Going over the other pocket, got my set of keys, my bits and my extension, Swiss card, and my peppermint oil. If you're going to carry peppermint oil, do not carry it with your handkerchief. Because although your handkerchief, when you offer it to somebody, is going to smell nice and minty, if they get it in their eye, again, they're going to take a couple swings at you because it's going to be painful for them. Got my tactical field deck tucked away in this pocket here. Tactical beard comb. My Maxpedition wallet. And then on this side here, got my notepad, coin, and my glasses cleaner. Usually I'll have 3 or 4 of those in that back pocket. I only have 1 in there right now. So I think that's everything in the pockets. Everything carries pretty comfortably. When I get this pocket loaded up and I've got that set of keys in there, the keys do become kind of bulky and bothersome, but it's closing in on wintertime, getting cold, so usually my phone and my keys kind of go out to my coat pockets, and that makes everything a lot easier to carry. Now, coming onto the belt, I got my Zippo lighter, and then I've got my pocket knife, and then on this side, the Leatherman Surge. So that's how it all goes together nicely. I know it looks like a lot, and I know there's probably a lot of people out there that would not carry some of the things that I carry just because of the bulk and feel of it, but it carries pretty nicely. So it's a big world out there, and we're bound to run into a shady situation. Until then, keep your gear on you.